remember. I knew there was, I remember. Trig or trip.
The trig. I made this joke in a scene like athletics convention, and the other one is joking, maybe you'll get lucky, and if you get lucky, there'll be a baby, and if it's a boy, you can name it Trig, thinking that's the silliest name imaginable for a boy, and it happened. And
so,
yeah.
So that was nice. That was nice. No, I mean, the only band in the book is Neutral Milk Hotel, which hasn't recorded an album since 1998, so there was no danger of them getting more irrelevant. There was always the opportunity that they might come back together and spring to relevance again, but they haven't.
Not happening.
Yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, not really that contemporary usually. Your turn.
All right, Trent.
Well, this is for John. Did you ever finish your NaNoWriMo novel?
Did I ever finish my NaNoWriMo novel? No. Sorry, I wanted to, but I just can't write that fast. Oh, and ask it. Yes. Yes.
Would you be willing to do your happy dance?
Yeah, at the very end though, because I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know. I'm not happy yet. I am very happy. Yeah, it's just really aerobic, and I don't want to be out of breath for the rest of the gig.
I am so excited for that. All right. The back on the very end, yeah.
Is it easier to write a collaboration book or by yourself? Sorry.
For me, it is totally easier and more fun to write a collaboration, which is probably why I do so many of them. I love it because you're only responsible for half the book, which is awesome. You can't finish a book, you only write 100 pages. But the second is really that I get a total energy from working with somebody else. Like, you totally bounce off of them, and you want to be them, and you're worried that you're not going to be as good as them, and they're putting in some jokes, and you want to be funny too. And most of all, it just, when I'm writing alone, I never really have any sense of who the audience is going to be. I don't think, oh, I'm writing this for teens, or for adults, or for my friends, or for my mom, or whoever. But when I'm collaborating, it's totally for the other person. Like, I will put in a joke and be like, I hope when I read this aloud, John will laugh. Or I hope that when Rachel gets the last line of this chapter, she goes, oh my god, I have to come up with something really bizarre to do the next chapter with. So I love the energy coming from that. I would never exclusively collaborate because there are some stories I want to write by myself. But I do find the collaborating more fun.
It's so different to me that I can't really compare them. I think it's probably easier. I don't know. I'm not particularly good at either of them, I feel like, but I guess collaborating is probably a little bit easier. My side. Yes.
What advice can you give to optimists hoping to be promoted to actual writers?
What advice can I give to optimists hoping to be promoted to actual writers? Well, the first thing I would say is that you are a writer if you write. You're not an optimist. In fact, the chances that you are an optimist go down significantly. David has good advice, so I'll say my advice first. So there is no other trick, I don't think, other than reading and reading and reading. And that's why I still read a lot and why I read absolutely obsessively, when I was starting out writing.
Right, and then on top of that, I agree totally with that, but also writing. And again, I don't find there's any better way to say it than give yourself permission to fuck up a lot. That a lot of people sort of freight themselves with the pressure that it has to be perfect straight out. It's never perfect straight out. They also freight themselves with the idea that they have to get published right away, or they're not legitimating unless they have a book with their name on the shelves. And then I always quote Linda Sue Park on this, because I think she's brilliant when talking about writing, and I think in this case she was, where she said, it's not like you see a guy with a cello case and you know he's a musician, your first question to him isn't, oh, have you recorded any albums? You just ask him, oh, when do you play? What do you play? How often? And the same should be true for writers. The question should be like, oh, do you have a book out? As if that's the indicator. The indicator is, oh, how much practice do you do per day? Do you enjoy doing it? Like, what's your favorite?
What kind of writing
do you do? And so I think once you take those pressures off to be flawless and to be successful and get published right away, suddenly you're just doing it for the joy of it, which is why you should be doing it, and you're doing it to find out what your voice is and what you should be writing. And sometimes you get that right away, and sometimes it can take decades to figure out what you should be writing. But the way to do it is just to keep on writing and to share it with friends and share it with strangers and share it with other people and get feedback. And if you want to keep it to yourself, keep it to yourself, and then put it away, and then read it a year later, and it's almost as if somebody else is reading it. So that's the advice I give. I mean, I don't think writing should compromise your optimism at all.
I didn't mean to say, I just mean that on the whole, writers perhaps think more about the brokenness of the world than...
That's true. But you can be optimistic while still acknowledging
I agree. That's a lot of what I tried to do my whole life, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
A few more questions, I think. Whoa, you got a lot of questions on your side.
With Pat.
What, if anything, are either of you planning on writing next?
I have to write something else because I don't have another job. My other job is video blogger. That doesn't sound real. I'm writing a desert island novel. You know, like a book on a desert island.
And I just finished 2 books. My next book with Rachel Cohen is coming out in October. It's called Dashin Lily's Book of Dares. It's kind of cool. And then I have a book about grown-ups coming out in January called The Lover's Dictionary, which is about a relationship, a 2-year relationship that is going through some ups and downs, and it's told strictly through dictionary form. So the whole novel is just dictionary entries alphabetical.
That was out.
So I'm just finishing that up.
It's good, I read it. I haven't read all of it, but I read parts of it. It's good. Purple shirt.
Yes. All right, let's say you were having a conversation with evolution. He or she mentioned that you can have a puppy-sized elephant as a pet, but you'd also have to have a unicorn to go with it. Would that be inappropriate?
This is somebody who watches your video.
Well, the unicorns would bring so much joy into the world of people. The fact that I personally hate unicorns and think that they're responsible for the murder of Tonks in the Harry Potter novel does not affect the fact that I know that there are a lot of people in the world, including my brother, who I care about very much, who love unicorns. And so I would take that deal. If I could have a puppy-sized elephant. Oh. What a world we would live in. You want to talk about optimism. If I could have a puppy-sized elephant, I would definitely take the unicorn. But then I would sell him. And I would spend the money building a mansion for my puppy-sized elephant. A little puppy elephant mansion. Your turn.
Against the window back there.
Did you have any major arguments over what you wanted to happen when you were writing the book?
There were fisticuffs. We can accept touching bruises. Yeah.
You can imagine what our fights would look like. I wrote a fight scene like that in Abundance of Catherines, and it was the most fun I ever had writing a scene. Just like these 2 nerds just like relentlessly going after these guys and just getting crushed, but getting up and then just going again and again and again. No, not really. There were conversations, but there were no fights.
Yeah, I don't even think they got into heated conversations.
Voices were never raised.
Yeah, conversations. Sorry.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite moments, funny stories from the whole 5-year collaboration?
I thought this was pretty funny.
I was at this event and somebody said, if evolution could talk. Suddenly I was like, what was in the coffee I drank? Really the most touching aspect of, I think, the whole thing was the research we did. I don't think I'm giving anything too much away. Well, no, I would be giving too much away. Needless to say, when you read the book, this will make much more sense. Our wills meet each other at a very special place. And John and I, the first time we ever met in person was in Chicago. I was there for a library convention. We had been talking on the phone for a while, and we already talked about this book and where the 2 wills would meet. So we decided we had to go to this.
We went to this special place.
Not special, say, in the way that this church is special.